Have you noticed something? The loudest person in the room is almost never the strongest person in the room. Just watch life carefully. The man who keeps saying, "I am important," is usually trying to convince himself. The man who keeps saying, "I know everything," is usually hiding his confusion. And the person who constantly explains himself to everybody is slowly becoming a prisoner of other people's opinions. But there is another kind of person. He is not trying to prove anything. He is not fighting for attention. He is not running around collecting approval. He simply sits quietly, and strangely, life begins to work for him. Today I want to talk about something that almost nobody understands: silence. Not the silence of the mouth, the silence of the mind. Because these are two very different things. Many people can keep their mouths shut. Very few people can keep their minds quiet. And unless your mind becomes silent, your life will remain noisy. Look at people today. Everybody has an opinion that's a favor, and everybody has a single presence. Nobody says, "I don't know," because the human ego has a strange disease. It would rather be wrong than admit ignorance. Just observe this. If someone asks directions and you don't know the way, what should you say? "I don't know." Very simple. But many people will invent an answer. Why? Because the ego cannot tolerate not knowing. The ego wants to appear intelligent. The funny thing is, life becomes beautiful only when you become comfortable with not knowing. When you know that you do not know, learning becomes possible. When you think you already know, growth stops. This is why silence is powerful. Silence creates space, and only in that space can truth enter. Let me tell you a small story. A young man went to a wise teacher. He said, "Master, people do not respect me." The teacher asked, "How much do you talk every day?" The young man said, "A lot." The teacher laughed. He said, "Then why are you surprised?" The young man looked confused. The teacher continued, "When a shopkeeper keeps every item outside the shop, people stop being curious. But when something valuable is hidden inside, people become interested." Now don't misunderstand this. I'm not saying become mysterious. I'm saying stop throwing your energy everywhere. Every unnecessary word costs life energy. Every argument costs life energy. Every attempt to prove yourself costs life energy. And then people wonder why they feel exhausted. They are not tired from work. They are tired from unnecessary talking. Just watch yourself for one day. How many conversations were actually necessary? How many explanations were necessary? How many arguments changed anything? Very few. Most talking is simply noise. A man insults you. Immediately your mind says, "Reply." Why? Because your ego feels threatened. But if you remain silent for a moment, something interesting happens. You begin to see clearly. You realize the insult belongs to him, not to you. If somebody hands you garbage and you refuse to take it, whose garbage is it? It remains with the person carrying it. The same is true for anger. The same is true for hatred. The same is true for insults. But people are collecting emotional garbage every day. Someone says one negative sentence in the morning, and they carry it in their minds until night. Who is suffering? Not the person who spoke, the person who accepted it. This is why silence is intelligence. Not because silence is magical, because silence gives you a moment to choose. Most people live in reaction. Very few live in response. Reaction is automatic. Response is conscious. Reaction is animal. Response is human. And silence creates the distance between the two. Without silence, you become a machine. Press one button, you become angry. Press another button, you become sad. Press another button, you become jealous. Anybody can control you. But the moment silence enters your life, something changes. Now there is a gap. And in that gap, freedom appears. People ask me, how do I become successful? First, learn to stop reacting. Because success is not about doing more. Success is about wasting less. Less energy wasted, less attention wasted, less emotion wasted, less life wasted. then naturally your intelligence functions better. Look at a lake. When the water is disturbed, can you see the bottom? No. When the water becomes still, everything becomes visible. Your mind is exactly the same. You don't need more intelligence. You need less disturbance. This is why some people read thousands of books but remain confused, and another person sits quietly under a tree and understands life. Information is not wisdom. Information is memory. Wisdom is clarity, and clarity comes from stillness. Today, humanity is drowning in information. Let me ask you something. How many decisions in your life are actually yours? Not your family's, not society's, not your friends. Yours. If you look honestly, you may discover something uncomfortable. A large part of your life has been shaped by the desire to be accepted. From childhood, this conditioning begins. A child laughs naturally, cries naturally, speaks naturally, lives naturally. Then slowly the world starts teaching him. Behave this way. Don't do that. People will laugh at you. What will others think? And without realizing it, a prison is created. The prison is invisible, but it is very real. The prison of other people's opinions. Now, look at most adults. They are not living. They are performing. Every action is calculated. Every word is measured. Every decision is filtered through one question. What will people think? And this question destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Because failure can teach you, but fear of judgment stops you before you even begin. Think about it. How many people stay in jobs they hate because they are afraid of what others will say? How many stay in relationships that no longer bring joy because they fear society's opinion? How many hide their talents because they fear criticism? Millions, maybe billions. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that people never truly live. They spend their entire lives asking permission. Permission to speak, permission to act, permission to be themselves. And permission never comes. Because no matter what you do, someone will approve. Someone will disapprove. This is the nature of life. If you become successful, some people will admire you, others will envy you. If you stay ordinary, some people will support you, others will judge you. If criticism is unavoidable, why fear it? It makes no sense. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day. Inside the backpack are hundreds of opinions, things people said years ago, comments from relatives, judgments from strangers, expectations from society. Now imagine putting that backpack down. How light would you feel? This is exactly what happens when you stop seeking approval. Suddenly there is space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to live. Most people have never experienced this freedom. They are too busy trying to fit into somebody else's idea of success. Somebody says success means money. They chase money. Somebody says success means status. They chase status. Somebody says success means popularity. They chase popularity. Years pass. Decades pass. And one day they wake up and realize they have been chasing somebody else's dream, not their own. This is why self-awareness is so important. Without it, you become a follower of every trend, every opinion, every expectation. You become like a leaf in the wind, blown in every direction. But awareness changes everything. Awareness allows you to ask a simple question. What do I actually want? Not what society wants, not what my neighbors want, not what social media wants. What do I want? For many people, this is a surprisingly difficult question because they have spent so much time listening to others, They have forgotten how to listen to themselves. And this is where silence becomes important again. Because only in silence can you hear your own voice, not the voice of conditioning, not the voice of fear, not the voice of public opinion. Your voice, the deeper intelligence within you. The intelligence that existed before the world told you who to be. You see, there is nothing wrong with listening to advice. Advice can be useful, but there is a difference between listening and obeying. A wise person listens to everyone, then decides for himself. A fearful person listens to everyone, and then forgets himself. Never allow that to happen, because the greatest loss in life is not money. It is not reputation. It is not status. The greatest loss is losing yourself. And many people lose themselves very early. They become whatever others expect them to be. Then they wonder why they feel empty. The emptiness is simple. You cannot spend your life being somebody else and expect fulfillment. Fulfillment comes only when your outer life and inner truth move in the same direction. This requires courage. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to disappoint people. The courage to walk your own path. Not because you are rebellious, not because you are special, but because it is your life. Nobody else can live it for you. Nobody else can experience it for you. Nobody else can die for you. So why should somebody else decide how you live? Think about that very deeply. The next time you are afraid of judgment, remember something. People's opinions change like the weather. Today they praise you, tomorrow they... Have you noticed something? Most people are not living in reality. They are living in their minds. Their body is here, but their mind is somewhere else. Thinking about yesterday, worrying about tomorrow, imagining situations that may never happen, creating problems that do not even exist. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted. Tell me, if you carry a heavy bag all day, will you not become tired? Of course you will. Now imagine carrying thousands of thoughts every day. Thoughts about money, thoughts about relationships, thoughts about the future, thoughts about what somebody said 5 years ago, thoughts about what might happen next year. No wonder people feel tired. The body is not exhausted. The mind is exhausted. The strange thing is, most of this thinking achieves absolutely nothing. People believe that if they think enough, they will solve every problem. But have you noticed? The more you think, the more complicated things become. One thought becomes 10 thoughts. 10 thoughts become 100. Soon you are trapped in a maze created by your own mind, and the exit seems impossible to find. Let me tell you something simple. Thinking is a useful tool, but it is a terrible master. Use it when needed. Put it down when not needed. The problem is that most people do not know how to put it down, even when there is no problem to solve. The mind keeps running, like a fan spinning in an empty room, wasting energy, making noise, doing nothing useful. Look at children. A child can cry intensely one moment and laugh completely the next. Why? Because children do not carry their thoughts for long. Adults are different. Somebody says one negative sentence, and they carry it for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. One small incident becomes a permanent resident in their mind. And every day they revisit it. Every day they suffer again. The event happened once, but the mind repeats it 1,000 times. Who is creating the suffering now? Life or the mind? This is something very important to understand. Pain may be unavoidable, but psychological suffering is often self-created. The mind keeps replaying old movies again and again, and every replay drains your energy. Imagine watching the same sad movie every day for 10 years. Eventually, it would affect you. Yet people do exactly this inside their heads. They replay failures, embarrassments, regrets, arguments, missed opportunities, and then they wonder why they cannot find peace. Peace is impossible when yesterday is constantly living inside today. You cannot drive forward while staring only into the rearview mirror. Sooner or later, you will crash. Life is happening now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. But the mind rarely stays here. It is always traveling, always wandering, always chasing something. And because of this, people miss the only moment that truly exists, the present moment. Many people think the present moment is ordinary. It is not. It is the only place where life actually happens. Your future will arrive as the present. Your past existed as the present. Everything happens here. Yet people spend almost no time here. They are mentally absent from their own lives. A person can sit with his family, but think about work. He can sit at work, but think about vacation. He can go on vacation and think about problems. The body moves, the mind wanders, and life passes. This is why awareness is so powerful. Awareness brings you back to this breath, back to this moment, back to reality. Because reality is always happening now. Not in imagination, not in memory. Now. Take a simple example. Right now, at this very moment, are you okay? Not tomorrow, not next month. Right now. Most people would honestly answer yes. Yet their minds are busy worrying about things that are not happening. This is the trick of the mind. It creates imaginary storms. Then it asks you to suffer because of them. And people obey. Every single day. A wise person learns to observe the mind, not fight it, not suppress it. Observe it. When a thought comes, he watches. When a fear comes, he watches. When anxiety comes, he watches. Slowly something beautiful happens. He realizes, I am not the thought. I am the one watching the thought. This realization changes everything, because once you stop identifying with every thought, their power begins to disappear. The mind may still produce noise, but you no longer become trapped by it. It becomes like clouds passing through the sky. They come, they go, but the sky remains untouched. You are the sky. Thoughts are the clouds. Remember this. A cloud cannot damage the sky, and a thought cannot damage your true nature. Only your attachment to the thought creates suffering. The next time your mind starts racing, do not immediately. Let us look at something very carefully. Most human suffering is not happening right now. It is happening inside the mind. This may sound strange, but just observe your own life. Many times, the situation itself is small, yet the suffering becomes enormous. Why? Because the mind keeps adding stories. Life gives you one problem. The mind turns it into 10. Life gives you one challenge. The mind imagines 100 disasters. And then people say, my life is difficult. No, the situation may be difficult, but most of the suffering is coming from the stories you are telling yourself. Imagine you are walking at night. You see something lying on the road. Immediately your mind says, snake. Fear appears. Your heart starts beating faster. Your body becomes tense. You suffer. Then you come closer. And suddenly you realize it is only a rope. Now tell me, where was the suffering coming from? The rope? No. The imagination. The same thing happens every day in people's lives. Someone does not answer a phone call. Immediately the mind starts creating stories. Maybe they are angry. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe they do not like me anymore. Hours later, you discover they were simply busy. The problem never existed. Only the imagination existed. Yet the suffering felt real. This is how the mind works. It takes uncertainty and fills it with fear. It takes silence and fills it with assumptions. It takes small events and turns them into giant dramas. And unfortunately, most people trust every thought that appears in their heads. This is like believing every advertisement you see on television. Would you do that? Of course not. Then why believe every thought? Just because a thought appears does not mean it is true. The mind is a wonderful tool, but it is also a factory. Every day it produces thousands of thoughts, some useful, some useless, some intelligent, some completely ridiculous. Wisdom is learning the difference. Without awareness, people become servants of their thoughts. With awareness, they become observers. And observation changes everything. Think about the sky. Clouds are constantly moving. Some are dark, some are white, some are beautiful, some bring storms. But the sky remains untouched. The sky never fights the clouds. It allows them to come. It allows them to go. Your awareness is like the sky. Your thoughts are like clouds. The problem begins when you forget you are the sky. You start believing you are the cloud. A fearful thought appears. You become fear. An angry thought appears. You become anger. A jealous thought appears. You become jealousy. Then your entire life is controlled by whatever cloud happens to pass by. This is not freedom. Freedom begins when you realize, I can see this thought. And if I can see it, it cannot be me. This is a simple realization, but it has tremendous power. Because once you see this, you stop fighting your mind. Most people are fighting their thoughts all day. I should not think this. I should not feel this. I should not be afraid. The more they fight, the stronger the thoughts become. Have you noticed this? Try not to think about a monkey for 30 seconds. Immediately, the mind fills with monkeys. Because resistance creates attention. And whatever receives attention grows. Instead of fighting thoughts, simply watch them. Like watching traffic from the side of the road. Cars pass. You do not run after them. You do not stop them. You simply watch. Thoughts can be treated the same way. They come, they go. You remain. And gradually, their power over you begins to disappear. This is what inner freedom means. Not controlling every thought, not eliminating every emotion, but no longer being controlled by them. Look at life. Challenges will come. Losses will come. Failures will come. Nobody escapes these things. But suffering becomes much smaller when you stop adding unnecessary stories. A wise person deals with reality. An unconscious person deals with imagination. Reality is usually manageable. Imagination is endless. Reality says there is a problem. The mind says this problem will destroy everything. Reality says there is uncertainty. The mind says disaster is coming. Reality says wait and see. The mind says panic immediately. And then people wonder why they are stressed. They are not responding to reality. They are responding to imagination. The next time fear appears, pause for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question. What is actually happening right now? Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. You may discover that the situation is far smaller than the story in your head. This one question can save you from countless hours of unnecessary suffering. Because awareness cuts through imagination. Awareness brings you back to react. Let me ask you something. If a person is locked inside a prison cell, he knows he is a prisoner. At least there is clarity. He can see the walls. He can see the bars. He knows he is trapped. But what if the prison is invisible? What if there are no walls, no bars, no chains? What if the prison exists only inside the mind? Then escaping becomes much more difficult. Because first, you must realize you're trapped. Most people are living inside such a prison, and they don't even know it. Every day they wake up, not with freedom, but with conditioning. The mind immediately starts speaking. You are not good enough. You need more success. You need more money. You need more approval. You need to become somebody. And people spend their whole lives obeying these voices, not because they are true, but because they have heard them for so long. Anything repeated often enough starts feeling real, even when it isn't. Think about it. From childhood, people are constantly told who they should be. Parents have expectations, teachers have expectations, society has expectations, friends have expectations. Slowly, layer after layer, an identity is built. And one day, a person says, "This is me." But is it really? Or is it just a collection of influences? This is an important question, because many people have never discovered who they are beneath all the labels. Someone says, "I am my profession." No, that is what you do. Someone says, "I am my achievements." No, those are things that happened. Someone says, "I am my reputation." No, that is merely what others think about you. None of these things are you. Yet people spend decades protecting them, fighting for them, worrying about them, suffering because of them. Imagine spending your entire life protecting something that isn't even you. That is exactly what happens. A person creates an image, then spends years defending it. Somebody criticizes the image. He becomes angry. Somebody ignores the image. He becomes hurt. Somebody praises the image. He becomes happy. His entire emotional life depends on maintaining a picture. A picture that exists mostly in the mind. This is exhausting. And yet, millions of people do it every day. Now look at a child. A small child has no concern about reputation, no concern about status, no concern about image. The child simply exists. That is why children can experience joy so easily. Their happiness is not dependent on maintaining a personality. As people grow older, they become heavier, not physically, psychologically. They collect identities, labels, beliefs, opinions, and soon they're carrying a mountain on their shoulders. Then they wonder why life feels difficult. Life is not heavy. The burden is psychological. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Every year, you add more rocks. One rock called resentment. One rock called guilt. One rock called fear. One rock called regret. One rock called insecurity. After 20 years, the backpack becomes enormous. Then you complain that life is tiring. Of course it is. You are carrying unnecessary weight. Wisdom is not about adding more. Wisdom is often about removing. Removing false ideas. Removing unnecessary fears. Removing old identities. Removing stories that no longer serve you. People think freedom comes from acquiring things. More money, more possessions, more recognition, more success. These things may improve comfort, but they do not necessarily create freedom. True freedom comes when there is less psychological baggage, because freedom is not about what you have. It is about what no longer controls you. Think carefully about this. If somebody can control your emotions with a single comment, are you free? If somebody's opinion can ruin your entire day, are you free? If a social media post can change your mood, are you free? Perhaps not. Freedom begins when your inner state no longer depends entirely on external circumstances. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean becoming indifferent. It means becoming stable, like a tree with deep roots. The wind may blow, the storms may come, but the tree remains grounded. Most people are like leaves. Every little breeze changes their direction. Every opinion affects them. Every situation disturbs them. And then they wonder why peace feels impossible. Peace is impossible when your stability depends on things you cannot control. You cannot control other people. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control every event in life, but you can learn to manage your inner world. And that changes everything. Because once your inner world becomes stable, the outer world loses much of its power over you. Problems may still come, challenges may still appear, but they no longer define your experience. So now we come to the most important question. After all this, what is the point? Why understand silence? Why observe the mind? Why become aware? Well, one simple reason. To live, not merely survive, not merely exist, but truly live. Look at most people. They wake up, work, worry, sleep, and repeat the same cycle for years. Their bodies are alive, but something inside them has gone to sleep. They are constantly preparing to live someday. When I have more money, I will be happy. When I find the right person, I will be happy. When I become successful, I will be happy. When life becomes perfect, I will be happy. But life keeps moving. Years pass, decades pass, and that someday never arrives. Because happiness was never waiting in the future. It was always available in this moment. The problem is not that life is missing. The problem is that attention is missing. You are here. Life is here. But your mind is somewhere else. And because of that, you miss the miracle of being alive. Take a deep breath right now. Just notice it. The breath comes. The breath goes. You are alive. Do you realize how extraordinary that is? Your heart is beating. The sun rises every morning. The earth continues spinning through space. Life is happening all around you. Yet people are too busy worrying to notice it. This is the tragedy. Not death, not failure, not loss. The real tragedy is living without ever truly experiencing life. A flower blooms. Most people never see it. A child laughs. Most people are distracted. Rain falls from the sky. Most people are lost in thought. Life keeps offering its beauty, but the mind keeps saying, not now. There is something more important. And one day, life is over. Then people realize they were waiting for a future that never came. So what is the solution? Very simple. Be here, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Here, this moment is the only place where life exists. The past is memory, the future is imagination. Reality is now. And when you learn to be present, something beautiful happens. Ordinary moments become extraordinary. A cup of tea becomes a meditation. A walk becomes a joy. A conversation becomes meaningful. Nothing outside changes, but your experience changes completely. This is the power of awareness. It transforms the ordinary into something sacred. Not because life changes, because you change. And remember this, you do not need to become somebody else. You do not need to achieve perfection. You do not need to impress the world. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to carry every burden. You only need to wake up. Wake up from unconscious habits. Wake up from endless thinking. Wake up from unnecessary suffering. Wake up from the prison of the mind. The moment you wake up, freedom begins. Then silence is no longer frightening. It becomes beautiful. Then being alone is no longer lonely. It becomes peaceful. Then life is no longer a struggle to become something. It becomes a celebration of what already is. Remember this one thing. The strongest person is not the one who conquers the world. The strongest person is the one who conquers himself. The richest person is not the one who owns the most. The richest person is the one who needs the least. And the wisest person is not the one who knows the most. The wisest person is the one who sees clearly. So walk through life with awareness. Speak when necessary. Remain silent when unnecessary. Observe more. React less. Trust life a little more. Trust your awareness a little more. And slowly, Very slowly, you will discover something that cannot be taught in books, cannot be bought with money, and cannot be given by another person. Inner freedom. And once you taste that freedom, even for a moment, you will understand that everything you were searching for was already within you. Thank you for listening. And remember, life is not waiting for you somewhere in the future. Life is happening now. Don't miss it.